Hey everyone, and welcome to Hooked on Needles and Crafts. Today we're going to be doing another crochet kit from Five Below. For my returning subscribers, thank you so much for tuning in. And for my new viewers, please consider subscribing, share, hit that like button, leave a comment below, and click on that notification bell for future videos. So today, you guys, we are going to be doing a crochet kit from Five Below. We are doing the Nightmare Before Christmas series. These two kits are a viewer request. If you have any requests, leave the comments below and I'll be able to try to get those kits and do them for you. If you don't want to wait, you can take a clear image of the instructions and email them to me. My contact information is in my About section as well as in the description box below. Alright, so I'm going to try to punch these two out by the end of this week, and we know that some of these take long, so hopefully not. I have done the Disney book, which you can refer back to on my playlist. But I am doing the Nightmare Before Christmas booklet as well. I have 2 more characters left to do on that. So it's going to be a whole Nightmare Before Christmas, literally. Okay, so let's get into this. What you'll see into this box is some yarn, stuffing, plastic sewing needle, crochet hook, which is metal. And there are 2 packets of instructional booklets. One is for abbreviations and stitches and how to do those stitches in text, and the other one are the instructions. If you are missing instructions, here's the contact information on the box. I recommend contacting them and letting them know. I didn't realize, like, sometimes I have not enough yarn or the instructions are so complicated, but I've never not had any instructions, so I haven't been in that situation before. But yeah, contacting this company is the best thing to do. I cannot do that for you because of copyright. So let us open this booklet here. Spool of yarn, stuffing, the 2 packets, and oh wow, this is not much in here. Crochet hook and needle, and then the other spool of yarn. I'm going to put this back in the box. We don't need that yet. I like to keep things together. And I'm just going to take out the crochet hook. So this video is just a supplement to the instructions. Again, if you'd like to make these, I highly recommend that you go to your Five Below and get these kits. So let's, oh, there's 3 of them. Okay, let's see here. Okay, this one is the abbreviations. So this is pretty much universal. You can always look up stuff here if you don't quite understand that. I'm going to do things my way, so you can refer to the instructions or you can use my video. I have people asking me to do it by the book, and I'm like, that's not how I live my life, so that's not happening. Everyone has their way of doing things to make things easier, so I do it that way because I find it easy. So why wouldn't I, right? Alright, okay, not too bad. It's a 2-page instruction, and that's because one page is both sides and then the other one is just by itself. It is kind of detailed, so, but it looks like a lot of small pieces. I don't like long pieces. I get bored. Alright, let's get straight into this. I'm gonna, in these videos, what I do is teach you how to do the stitch at least 3 times, step by step. And then I go over how to read the instructions so you understand how to read it. What's not included in these kits that I highly recommend that you go out and get are these stitch markers. They definitely help you out keep track of your rounds, especially if you have rounds. For example, on this instructional sheet, it's round 8 through 14. each marker is a round. So if you're busy doing a lot of things, because I can't sit all at once and do this either, you can use your stitch markers to keep track of the rounds so you don't lose count. All right, we're going to be starting with white. And let's see if we are going to be switching at all. We're going to be doing the head, and it looks like we aren't doing any color changes. That's good. So let's unravel this. I'm not good with this kind of a thing here, but I try my best to deal with what they give you. So I'm just going to unravel this. And this seems to be the end on the outside. I like to find the other end on the inside. And that's going to help you not have your yarn spin out on you when you're pulling. So, but what I am going to do is I have a little cylinder here I'm going to put in the center. That's going to kind of anchor it. So when I pull, it won't go all over the place. There's machines for that you can go get, but I just try to not spend too much money on these things. Alright, so let's do the magic ring. This is pretty much how you start off a lot of these amigurumi projects. So you're going to take the yarn and you're going to wrap this 3 times around your finger. Like that. You want a little bit of overage so that you can take your middle finger and hold it down like that. Then you can take this opportunity to straighten out these strands. You can tighten them up if you need to, but not too tight because we're going to slip our hook underneath each one. Okay. Then I'm going to pull this back, but I'm going to take this strand and pull it underneath these 2. So hook it. Turn your hook to the side a little bit so that you can drag that strand underneath these 2. So now we have a situation like this. What we're going to do now is yarn over, which is putting this feeder yarn over the hook, and then we're going to pull this through the loop. Alright, and then I'm going to let go of my middle finger and remove the rings off the index. So now we can start building our magic ring. Alright, so let me show you how to do a single crochet stitch in this magic ring. You're going to take your hook and you're going to insert it into the magic ring. We're going to yarn over and you're going to pull the strand through the ring. So you have 2 loops on your hook. Then we're going to yarn over again and you're going to pull through those 2 loops. And that is a single crochet stitch. So if we look at it on top, it looks like a little braid. We have a loop here and a loop here. If we look at it on its front, you have the loops look this way. This is the front loop. This is the back loop. Let's do another one. So put your hook into the ring. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop to get 2 loops. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So now we have 2 single crochet stitches. This is what it looks like on top. Loop here, loop here. Look on its front, and this ends up being the front loop. This ends up being the back loop. Let's make one more. Stick your hook into the ring. We're going to yarn over and you're going to pull up a loop to have 2 loops. Then you're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through those 2 loops. So looking on top, we have 3 single crochet stitches, a loop on this side, loop on that side. Looking at the front, this loop becomes the front loop, this loop becomes the back loop. Alright, so now that we've completed those 3, you can always rewind this section to go step by step. I'm going to move forward and do the rest of the single crochet stitches on the magic ring. All right. Then from here, you're going to overhand your hook. It's putting the hand over the hook. I'm going to take my index and thumb and I'm just going to hold the bottom stitches here. And you want to hold it in a way that's not too tight, because we're going to have to pull on these things. So take the feeder yarn and hold it back with your middle finger out of the way. Then we're going to concentrate on this excess piece and the 2 loops right here. So what we're going to do is pull on the excess piece until we find out which loop is going to move first. So go on ahead and take your excess piece and pull until you see one of these loops move. And again, you have to hold onto the bottom stitches very lightly, so you can do this. All right, so I saw this side move first. What we're going to want to do now is pull out this end of that loop. Don't pull from the top here, pull from the bottom. So take the loop that moved and we're going to pull out the bottom. And as we're doing that, we're going to see the other loop start disappearing. And you want to keep pulling that until the other loop is completely gone inside the ring. From here, you might still have a hole left. It's okay, but we have to deal with this loop. We want to make that loop disappear. So pull on the excess piece and keep pulling on that until that loop is completely gone into the ring. And to make sure that there's absolutely no hole in there, we're going to pull in the opposite direction and a little up. And when you pull it, you're going to feel a little give, but don't pull it like, you don't have to pull it too hard. Just enough to get that little extra piece left, and then you have absolutely no hole in there. Okay, so then you can take these markers and you're going to slip them right under the last stitch you made, right under the braid there, under the front loop and the back loop. You can always check to see if you've cleared the yarn and not accidentally split it by pulling on the stitch marker. If you can see a clear hole, then we did it right. And you can close this up. This is going to indicate that we're starting on round 2. It keeps it, like I said, helps you keep track of the rounds. You can leave them on there. You can remove them row by row. I normally just remove them row by row unless I'm doing a set. Like I said, for this instruction, the example is round 8 through 14. That's when I'll keep it on there. It also helps with keeping track of your stitch count. So if I mark this as the last stitch, it's easier to just count back how many stitches I have or not have or missing, you know. Anyway, so what we're going to do now is count back the number of stitches required for round 1. And then we're going to stick our hook into that last stitch. So count from the stitch marker. All right, go under the front and back loops. And then we're going to start round 2. So to read these instructions, first we're going to introduce the increasing stitch. When you see your instructions and at the end of it there's parentheses and a number, that means the number of stitches you should have at the end of the round. So if you are a beginner, or this is always good practice, is to always count your stitches after every round to make sure that you have the right amounts. Because once you realize that you're missing one or you gained one, it's really annoying to find where the mistake is and to go back, all the way back to where it was. Okay, so let me teach you guys how to do the increasing stitch. An increasing stitch is basically doing 2 single crochet stitches in 1 stitch. I've shown you how to do a single crochet stitch in a magic ring. let me show you how to do single crochet stitches in a regular stitch like this. So I counted back the number of stitches and I put my hook into that last stitch. Let's show you how to do a single crochet stitch. So you want to yarn over, you want to pull up a loop so you have 2 loops, and then you want to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops, and that's basically a single crochet stitch in a normal stitch this time. But since we're doing increasing stitches, you have to stick your hook into that same stitch that you just used. You can squish it in there. Then we're going to do another single crochet stitch. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So if you look closely, I don't know if you could see in camera, here's that one stitch that we used, and we made 2 single crochet stitches come out of it. So let's do this again. Stick your hook into the next stitch. We're going to be doing 2 single crochet stitches in here. So yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Then again, stick your hook into that same stitch we just used, yarn over and pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So 1 single crochet stitch, out comes 2 single crochet stitches. Alright, so let's do this one more time with you guys. Into the next stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochet stitches, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Into the same stitch, put in your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Alright, so now that I've done this 3 times step by step, you can go ahead and rewind this part as many times as you need until you get comfortable doing the increasing stitch on your own. But I'm going to go back here and complete the rest of the increasing stitches. Alright, and once you've completed it, you'll have something like this. If you have the stitch marker, you can just remove it. Our last stitch, I knew was on the right path because my last stitch landed right where the stitch marker is, so that's good. But now I'm going to remove the stitch marker and I'm just going to replace it at the latest stitch that I made. Front and back loops. Make sure you clear it. And you can close this up. This is going to indicate that we're doing round 3. Alright, so for this next round, we have a different kind of look on these instructions. Now we have a parenthesis in the front of this instruction. And basically what that is whatever's inside this instruction, you have to do all of it. From one parenthesis to the other, and then usually after there's an X or an asterisk in this case with a number telling you you have to repeat this so many times. So it's kind of, it looks weird, but it's as simple as that in a way. And of course the last set of parentheses is pretty much telling you how many stitches you should have altogether, which is great because sometimes who wants to add? Or who wants to do math? But I would always double check because sometimes there's typos. I mean, this company, I haven't found any typos, so that's great. But other ones, it's like, ooh, you totally didn't type that right. Sometimes they copy a previous instruction and they forget to change the numbers. So far, these kits have been getting really good. So, you know, you're very lucky if you're working on these ones because the like the Dollar Tree ones is progressively, it was like it started out bad, then it got real, you know, better, and then it got good, and then it went really bad. So I actually have to do those kits, and I almost forgot about them, but they're a mess. I have to figure out how to do those first. But anyway. Alright, so for round 3, we're going to be doing increasing stitches and single crochet stitches. So like I said, let's work in the parenthesis and repeat that as many times as the instruction tells you to do. And then again, especially if you're a beginner, count your stitches at the end to make sure that you're, you're right where you're supposed to be with the stitch count. And then be careful by splitting the yarn. Sometimes the quality of yarn isn't that great, so it's easy to get your hook accidentally in between the strands. So you just want to make sure you don't do that, because then it would be really hard. It's going to get messy. But if you accidentally do something wrong and you have to pull it apart, it's going to be difficult for you to do that. Alright, so I reached the end of the line here, and I just want to go ahead and make sure that my stitch count is right. Okay, and then I'm going to replace the marker under the last stitch we just made under the front and back loop. Can make sure that we cleared the yarn and didn't split it, and I could see that I split it. So if you see that little strand right there, something weird is going on. So I definitely want to redo this. Okay, and you want to make sure you clear the yarn here also, because when you stick your hook in, you might accidentally stick your hook in where the marker pierced the yarn. So 2 wrongs don't make a right. Okay. Now this is going to indicate that I'm doing round 4. So for round 4, again, we're working with single crochet stitches and increasing stitches. Focus on the parenthesis, the first parenthesis, and you'll just have to repeat that one over and over again. So if you're a beginner, doing these things definitely help you practice. If your jack turns out to be really jacked up the first time, try it again. Every time I end up doing projects more than once, it always looks better than the first time. So, okay, let's do this. right, remove the marker, check your stitch count, replace the marker under the last stitch you made, front and back loops, and make sure you clear it. All right, this is going to indicate that we're doing round 5. So we're just gradually increasing our stitch count here. So for round 5 again, concentrate on that parenthesis. We're going to be doing single crochet stitches and increasing stitches, and repeat as many times as they ask you to do that. Also, if you have these stitch markers and you really didn't want to keep track of how many times you did the parenthesis, every time you finish that parenthesis, you could always put a marker in so that you can count them and see if you did as many as they asked you to do. You know, that I've done only when there's a different, when it's longer. There's more than just one parenthesis in there that I've done in these videos, if you've ever seen them. So, all right. Or if you just leave for a second to take a phone call and then you're like, oh wait, where are my markers? Yup, okay. Okay, remove the marker, put it under the last stitch you made, clear it. This is going to indicate that we're doing round 6. Alright, so for round 6 it's going to get a little crazier. We have a parenthesis that we do have to repeat, but there's more in there this time. Not too much though, so let's take a look at it. Alright, we're going to be doing single crochet stitches, increasing stitches, and then single crochet stitches again, and repeat it however many times they ask you to. So it is getting a little longer if you do need those stitch markers to help you keep track, but it's easy to, I got tripped up this last round because once the numbers get higher, it's harder to for me to keep count. And then once you mix it with more instructions in a parenthesis, it's hard to keep track. So again, lifesavers. And these are ones that I've collected from all the kits that I've done on the channel. You can buy these by the packs. They sell them in packs at a hobby store or online. And they'll sell them for a couple of dollars, something like that. So it's not that hard. If you don't have these, I recommend, I mean, it's a risk because you don't know how much material they give you, but you can use different color yarn. You can take the black and cut like an inch piece and then kind of crochet it in your last stitch and then leave it there until you're done, you know, but that you can imagine that's a lot of waste there. So if you have different yarn from something else, you can use that, but these are so much easier. People have said paper clips, safety pins, someone even said like a bobby pin, but those are kind of, you know, they're good, but they're either sharp or too big. Okay, let's do round 6. All right. I got tripped up a couple of times back there. But yeah, replace your marker under the last stitch you made. Clear the yarn. This is going to indicate that we're doing round 7. And for round 7, we're back to a little less complicated set of instructions. We have parentheses. We have single crochet stitches and increasing stitches. Repeating it as many times as the instructions tell you to do. So let's do that now. Okay, remove the marker, put it under the last stitch we made. Make sure you clear the yarn. This is going to indicate that we are doing round 8. And this is the section that I told you that's going to be repeating itself. So it's round 8 through 14. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm going to set these ones aside so I don't confuse them. But now I know, and these are all single crochet stitches. So it's that easy. They don't, sometimes they'll make them difficult, but not in these kits I found. So single crochet stitches, and we're going to repeat it as many times as I use up these markers. So if you have that, or if you have your pieces of yarn, safety pins, whatever it is, do that now. Get those out now. I'm just going to go ahead in silence and do this. As you watch, you're going to see that your project, as well as mine, is going to start curling inside. And when we come back, I'm just going to flip it inside out. Because right now, the way things are looking, it's kind of curving a little bit, you can see. But when it gets really deeper in the curve, it's going to look like a bowl, a head, but it's facing the wrong way. Because our excess piece is still chilling out here, and then these stitches, they look nice, but not as nice as this side. See how nice and spirally this is, and you look at this side, it's kind of like circles. Okay, so in silence, I'm going to be doing this. Okay, so I've completed rounds 8 through 14, and like I said, this is going to start curling inward, which is fine. The only thing is that it's facing the wrong side. So what we're going to do is just push in the center and flip out the edges and turn this inside out. So now everything should be looking like this. You'll have very definitive stitches, and you can see from the center here the spiral clearly, and then that obviously that excess piece is tucked away inside there. I'm gonna go ahead and remove all the stitch markers that I've used. Alright, this last one here, I'm just gonna replace it under the last stitch we made. Under the front and back loops, making sure I clear it. Close this up. Okay. So now we're going to do round 15, and this is introducing a new stitch. I'm going to show you guys how to do a decreasing stitch. So before I do that, taking a look at round 15, we have a set of parentheses. We're going to be doing decreasing stitches and single crochet stitches. So let me just gather up some yarn here. Okay. Let's do a decreasing stitch. So a decreasing stitch is pretty much the opposite of an increasing stitch. So we're taking 2 single crochet stitches and turning them into 1. So what you're going to do is stick your hook into the next stitch. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, so 2 loops. Then we're going to stick our hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop so that we have 3 loops. Then we're going to yarn over again, and you're going to pull through all 3 loops like that. So if you can take a look closely, here are the 2 stitches, and we made 1 single crochet stitch out of it, front and back loop. All right, so now we're going to do some single crochet stitches and then repeat the parenthesis. Okay, so let me show you how to do a second decreasing stitch. We're going to take 2 stitches and turn it into 1. Stick your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop so you have 2 loops, then stick your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop so that we have 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Okay, then we're going to go back to doing our single crochet stitches. Right, so let's show you guys one more time how to do a decreasing stitch. Again, 2 stitches, we're going to turn into 1, stick your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, into the next stitch, put in your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, making 2 stitches into 1, and then we're going to do our single crochet stitches. So you can rewind this part of the video as many times as you need until you're comfortable doing decreasing stitches on your own. But I'm going to go ahead and complete the rest of this round. All right. So now I'm going to remove this and put it under the last stitch we made. And this is going to tell me we're doing round 16. So round 16 is a little lengthier, like round 6 was. We have a set of parentheses, and it's going to go from single crochet stitches, this time to decreasing stitches, and then back to single crochet stitches. So again, you can use these stitch markers to help you keep track of how many sets you do. I'm just going to get right into this. And these kits like to make, I call them bobbleheads, because they're so much larger than the body. Okay. Take the marker, put it under the last stitch you made. And we are going to be doing round 17. We have 3 more rounds, you guys. So for round 17, we're back to just a smaller set of parentheses. We are going to be doing decreasing stitches and single crochet stitches, repeating it however many times that it tells us to do. Okay, just gonna get more yarn. We have some left, but it's really not that much at the end of the day, so that always freaks me out a little bit, because aside from the head, we have the undershirt and his hands to make left. So I really hope that there's material left over. The last kits for the Grinch actually had a good amount of yarn left over, so I was happy about that. Makes you wonder, you know, I wonder if this company watches videos like this and kind of, or has like a quality control or feedback department or something, to where they actually do listen, because it seems like from Halloween on to this point, their kits have been progressively getting better. It's very nice, actually. Okay. Round 17, decreasing stitches and single crochet stitches. So one tip I want to tell you, when we do decreasing stitches, you're going to end up getting larger gaps because it's stretching to make 2 stitches into 1. So you have this gap here, gap here. What you want to try doing to eliminate the gaps is just make sure that this initial loop back here is not tight, but not loose either. So I'm going to try to keep this, again, not tight, but not loose. And I'm going to complete this decreasing stitch. And as it'll start happening, noticeably happening when you get smaller. So just be mindful of that. But yeah, I'm just going to make sure that this loop stays the same size as I'm completing the stitch, because you see it's still kind of pulling a little bit and there's like a large gap compared to these single crochet stitches here. So just be mindful of that. Another way to eliminate it is if you flatten the curve so that it's more manageable to work with, I feel, when it's flat. But yeah, all right, let's continue. All right, that was really sleight of hand there. So I just removed the marker and put under the last stitch we made that quickly to where I blinked. I'm like, did I really just do that? All right, so we're doing round 18 now, and we're going to be, again, working in a parenthesis, decreasing stitches, and and single crochet stitches. So it is getting smaller and a little more difficult. If it's lumpy, it's okay. The stuffing is going to make this look all nice, but yeah, it gets a little tough as it gets smaller. All right. and see, as it gets smaller, that pull is getting bigger, and I don't like that. When you stuff, you can see it, but luckily the stuffing is white and the yarn is white, but I'm gonna try to keep that pull to a minimum. Okay. And if you feel like you need to redo it, like I said, it's easy. If you clear your yarn, it's easy to pull the stitch out and redo it. Okay, take the marker and replace it under the last stitch we made. All right, so we've got round 19 now, and it's gonna get even tinier. So I like to, here's a tip for you guys. We have to do the eyes. I am also going to do the nose and the mouth all at once because it's easier to do it while it's unstuffed, because you can tie your knots, you can hide the yarn any way you need to, and it's hidden all behind the head. Once everything is closed and you start sewing the mouth after the fact, because I'm assuming that's what it's going to make you do, because I don't see it say do the mouth right after the head, but it's like, where do you hide the knot? You know what I mean? So my tip is, depending on your size of hand, because everyone has different size hands. Mine, I mean, I feel like they're small, but I know some people that have smaller hands than me, but you have to gauge yourself. Right now, like, we're on the 18th round, and I feel, in my experience, this is still a big enough size hole to do all that work and to get my hands in here. So I feel fine doing one more round before I stuff. So for you, if your hands are larger, maybe now is the time before it gets any smaller, and that's fine as well. The only time where it gets complicated is if the mouth, because I've had it happen to other kits, if the mouth is like so low and it's close to the edge, is when you might have an issue, but in this case it's not. So find the right size that's comfortable for you to do all that work, the eyes, the nose, the mouth. You can wait till I get to the eyes, but I'm just going to do one more round, and then I think we are going to fasten it off, and we're going to move on to the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. Okay, so for round 19 we have a parenthesis, and we are going to be doing decreasing stitches and single crochet stitches. So as you notice, it's pretty much the same thing, and I say this all the time. Once you learn how to do the stitch, it's really, and learn how to read the instructions, which are pretty much universal from kit to kit, company to company, you can end up doing many more kits from any other place. I like to get the booklets, because you get to pick out your own yarn. You can even pick out your different size hooks, because sometimes I don't want a small like to make it look small. Sometimes I want like a big hook and do like a plushie. This would be really cute in a plushie. So if you have they have so many different cute plushie yarn out there that are so soft, you know. You can make a toddler version of this if you use plushies. So although I don't know if Nightmare, but comment below, I don't know if Nightmare Before Christmas is suitable for toddlers, because I was a scaredy cat. I mean, I love horror now, believe it or not, but as a little kid, scary things I would have considered that a scary movie. So anyway, I did love, if you've ever seen Nightmare Before Christmas, I did love the part where they show the doors of the holidays. That's like such a fun concept. How each door has its own holiday world and it's themed in that holiday. And it'd be real cool to kind of like visit one, but if those characters can, you know, crash that world and all the way that Jack did. Anyway, yeah, getting a little silly now. Okay, I can remove this marker because it is the last row that we're doing. I'm going to show you how to fasten off. Now, we're going to be under the assumption, normally it tells you in other kits, but this one I guess not today. It normally tells you that you're going to need the extra to sew the body parts together, but I'm just going to assume that we need it. So what I like to do is take the perimeter of that little opening, and I like to outline it with the yarn twice, kind of loosely, and this is going to give me enough yarn to sew the head to the body. If that was the case, you could read ahead and see how they're doing it. Sometimes they're going to have you oh, they don't really have you build the body onto here. Let me see. Yeah, they have you make the body, make you do the body separate. So I thought they normally have you do the legs first and have that tie in. Anyway, so take your yarn here. I'm going to show you how to fasten off, and this is how you'll do it for any project in the future. So you want to yarn over, and we're going to pull this through the loop, but you're going to pull it all the way out until all the yarn is through. Then we're going to pull in that yarn to tighten up this loop so that it turns into a knot. And you're pretty much done with this. So what I would do is try to find that seam. You might not be able to see it because it goes in a spiral, but you can kind of tell a little bit in places. So obviously this part here is where the back would be. So I'm going to use this side as my front, and we're going to do the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. So let's put away this white for now. Okay, and let's whip out the black. And same thing with the white, they've got it going this way. Not a fan. Okay, that didn't do anything. This one. And then you have to pull one of them. Okay, so this one looks like it's the outside one, and I accidentally pulled the inside one, so we know which one that is. But again, I'm going to open this up and split the yarn. And this is a darker color now, so it's going to be real hard to see what I'm doing. So hopefully you'll concentrate more on your project to do this. And good thing we started with the white, because now you have an idea of how to do these stitches. So you're really not going to need to see mine. But all right, let's do the eyes. So for the eyes, we're going to do a magic ring again. I'm going to do the first one on camera and the second one off camera to save time on the video. So again, to do a magic ring, you're going to wrap this around your finger 3 times with a little overage so you can put your middle finger on it. Then you're going to straighten these out. Slip your crochet hook underneath, whoops, that went crazy. Slip your hook underneath the 3 strands, We're going to pull it back. I'm going to pull this strand underneath these two. So hook it, turn your hook sideways and slip it underneath the other two. So you have something like this. Then we're going to yarn over the hook, and we're going to pull this strand through this loop. It's getting late, so I think my brain is starting to shut down. Sorry, okay. Remove your middle finger, remove this off your index. And we're going to do our single crochet stitches in the magic ring. One of the first things that I showed you how to do, so let's do that now. And like I said, it's so dark that you can't see the stitches anyway, so all right, once you've completed all those single crochet stitches, you're going to overhand the hook, hold on to the bottom stitches lightly. You can use your middle finger to hold back the feeder yarn. We're going to concentrate on pulling this excess piece and seeing which one of these two loops are going to go in first. Okay, so pull on this. All right, this one here is going inside first, so I would pull this bottom part out. Do not pull that part, that's not going to work. So make sure you pick the one that moved in first. And as you're pulling this out, the other loop is going to pull in and disappear inside that magic ring. Keep pulling until that loop is gone entirely. Now we have to deal with this loop here, so then you can take the excess piece and pull this out. So in case you're wondering, we do it one by one, because if you did this all in one go, it's going to bunch up and you're going to have a chunk just sticking out. So rather have it that way and make it nice and neat. Now you may have a little gap in there still, so go ahead and take the excess piece and pull in the opposite direction a little bit up, and you're going to feel it move a little bit more. You don't have to pull too crazy, it's just going to be a little bit more, but it's going to be enough to close that hole completely. Alright, then you can take your stitch marker and put it under the last stitch you made. Make sure you clear your yarn. See, I'm pulling it and it's nice and clear. I didn't accidentally split it. Close it up. This is going to mean that we're in round 2. Okay, so for round 2, ooh, it's got us doing some weird stuff. Let's focus on the comma. So when you don't have parentheses, they will group sets of instructions with commas. That's another way to, they might have another instance further down in the instruction, but so they have all this blah blah hibbity blah. After that, let's just focus on the comma so that we don't get overwhelmed. So count back the number of stitches required for round 1 like we did last time, and stick your hook into that last stitch. Okay, try to go under front and back loops. Then it says we're going to do an increasing stitch, so let's do that now. Again, an increasing stitch is pretty much doing 2 single crochet stitches in one. Okay. All right. Now it says we have to cut the yarn . Okay, so it's having you do, it's basically a slip knot. Why don't they just say that? All right, I stopped at the other next comma, which is after the parentheses, saying, here, check out the pictures of the dark yarn. You can see, you can kind of see what's happening, so I should stop dogging them, but basically just do a slip stitch. So we're gonna have to sew this onto the onto the head. So as I did before, I'm going to go around the perimeter of the object this time twice. loosely. Okay. Cut it up. So basically it wants you to do a slip stitch from what my understanding. So into the next stitch, put in your hook. I'm going to teach you how to do a slip stitch. Even though it doesn't have any so far in this instruction, now you're going to know how to do a slip stitch. So stick your hook into the next stitch. We're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through all the loops off your hook. Okay. And it actually wanted you to put fasten it off and then pull it through that loop. Let's do it this way now. So yarn over and pull through the loop all the way out. Tighten it up. It's practically the same thing. So it's giving you this kind of teardroppy shape with that increasing stitch. I feel like it should be more dramatic somehow, right? You can squish it, I guess, when you sew it. But it's kind of like the eye. Alright, remove the marker. We don't need that anymore. Right now I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to do the second eye before we sew this on. That way when I come back and sew it on, you can, you know, see what I'm doing without having to stop. Anyway, be right back. So I have both my eyes. Let's pull out our sewing needle. Take one of them, thread it up. Okay. And I know these instructions actually have a section that tells you, okay, go to assembly and design. So even though they have you make the eye, they don't even tell you to attach it to the head, but you should do it now, like I said. So, well, that rhymed. So, you can get that out of the way before you stuff. So, all right. It's actually telling you add details to the face. Okay. So following the instructions for the assembly, we're going to take a look at the rounds here. We're going to count our way down to where it's telling us to go. Okay, and then we have to find our middle. I'm going to put a stitch marker in the middle, just marking a spot and calling it a middle. And I'm going to put it downward like this so that I know that's the middle. Another good use for stitch markers. Now it tells you also how many stitches you need to have between the eyes, so that's also helpful. As far as the placement goes, let's check out the box to look at the photo. So it looks like it has these teardrop things and kind of like an angle. So this is where that increasing stitch pinch is. So it looks like we're going to have it this way, tilted. So take this piece, you can cut it shorter actually. This is the excess piece from the magic ring. So we can tuck this in. All right, make sure you're only sewing through that. I folded it in half. Make sure you're only sewing through that one side. But we're going to angle the eyes, having the points, I guess, up a little, what it looks like. Okay. And then I'm just going to sew in and out of this head using the stitches and the rounds and work my way around the eye. And I'm going to use straight stitches. I was kind of going around this, but I think it'd be cleaner to straight stitches, just going up and down rather than going around the eye. I think it'll blend well. Okay, and then once you get to this side here, this is the last bit. Stick that into that stitch. We can tie our knot by flipping this inside out, and you can hide the knot. So I'm gonna go around one of the stitches that is right behind the eye, and I'm gonna make my knot. I don't know exactly how to tie knots because I'm not a sewer, but I go through this loop twice and then start kind of pulling tight. It's like a French knot. And then you can tuck this in there, and then that's good to go. All right, your first eye. Then you can go in and take the short excess piece from the magic ring. We're going to do the same thing and cut off a little bit of this so that we can tuck that into the eye. I'm going to take the tail that we made and thread up the needle. We're going to use it to sew the other side on. So let's situate this eye here now. Here's the pinch of the increasing stitch. So we've got to make the eye the same, and this is probably the hard part. What I'm going to do, because it feels awkward to me, I'm going to take the stitch here and kind of bind it to the stitch I'm going to sew it to. So at least I have that side being held down. Again, stitch markers are lifesavers. And then I can take a better look at this, and you can just see if this is your middle line. You can make sure that it's angled right by making sure that each side has the same number of stitches apart. So it looks like I'm going to stick this needle right here. I hope. Yeah, I always have a hard time making things symmetrical. Okay, and then we just have to sew around. So again, make sure you can do this at a comfortable size hole, because this is kind of small, but I think I can work with it. And last bit, I'm going to try to get up where I stuck that stitch marker, which is the same distance on the other eye. Stick it through the stitch that I need it to go through. Okay, I can remove this marker now. And I'm going to go in one more time with this eye so that I can tie off the ends. And I'm going to actually use this one to do the nose. I think I can reach it and have enough to do the nose. So again, go around a stitch right behind the eye. Put your needle through that loop twice. Pull it. Make it tight like a French knot. Alright, so it just says to do the nose. But here you can kind of look at what row it's in. So it looks like the nose would be here. Now if our middle is right here, then the nose is going to be going up this way. Or maybe it goes up through here. You can also split stitches too. I feel like let's split, because it's not falling on a nice single stitch. Let's see what it looks like. Maybe I do the one, and then there's still the tail from the other eye, so I can use the tail to do the other side of the nose. So let's just work with this one first. It's enough, but not enough. Okay. So I put that here. Let's see what one pass looks. Sometimes you have to do it twice. But here's one. And I think it could be thicker. So let's do this again. And I'd say that's enough. Now I'm really kind of fighting to go in next door, but you know what? Maybe that's what it is. Okay. So now I can grab the other tail from the other eye, because I ran out of yarn. And then we'll do the other nostril. Okay, so we did this twice. So when we go in, just come back out on that same stitch that we just did. Okay. Just like that. Then you can flip this inside out. And since we have these two next to each other, we can just double knot it. You don't want to pull too tight because we are dragging the yarn, and you don't want to accidentally pull it too tight to where it scrunches up the face. So just do double knots, just slightly tight enough so you don't lose the knot. And then this we can kind of remove. So we have the head. Now we just have to do the mouth. I'm going to, with cotton yarn. What does that mean? Oh well, it's this. So we're just going to lay the mouth out, and I'm going to kind of generously give myself, let's see, 2, 3, 4 passes, 5 back and forths, because I really don't know, to be honest. And then I'm just going to use the box to picture how many stitches this mouth is, how far below everything. So hold on a sec, let me do some counting. Alright, so I counted up the picture on the box. Let's use some stitch markers again. So I'm going to place, I have my middle based on my nose, and I'm just going to be counting the number of stitches I believe that there are going to be in this mouth. Okay, marking one end, and we're going to mark another end. Okay. Already see that one eye is still a little tilted wrong, but whatever. I didn't count the rows though, so let's count the rows. And mark that off. Okay. Now I'm going to take my piece of yarn here. We're going to go through the marker, place that stitch where the marker is, and I'm going to leave myself some room to tie. I could actually go in here and tie it to something already. We already have yarn all up in here, so you can go ahead and do that. Again, don't tie it too tight because you don't want to accidentally pinch into your head there, leaving a dimple. But I am going to double knot just to secure the yarn. Okay. Now we have the one side. We want to make sure, I can actually do this. There you go. Use those stitch markers to leave yourself room to make the smile, and then stick your hook into the other end. And the thing is, what we're going to do is make the stitches for the smile that he has. So rather than go all the way down in, let's figure out a way to come back up without having to go all the way in, because sometimes it's easier just to keep, you know, I'll show you. Stick your hook needle into the end there, and we're going to make the end piece here. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to come up right in here. So you see what I mean? Rather than go down all the way and up, we're just going to try to keep the needle on this side of the head so it's easier. And we can pull this just a little bit. and we're going to do our stitches that way. So now that you have all this in place, all you have to do really is make your stitches across the mouth. And as you're doing that, your smile is going to form better. Yeah. And I'm really glad that we're doing this now and not later, because this would be really hard to control, if you can imagine. And it doesn't have to be perfect, so don't worry if you're not getting your stitches all nice and cute. I think I'm doing this a lot neater than I did with the Disney box. It's so funny. Okay, last one. And this time we're going to go all the way inside because we have to tie it up on the inside. See, that's pretty much it. We can check it. Remove your stitch markers to make sure that this looks all okay. Hopefully it is, so you don't have to redo any of it. But I'm liking it. This definitely looks a lot better than the one that I did last year. Kudos to me. Again, like I said, they just get better the more you do these. Even though this is a different kit, just experiencing doing Jack last year, this year's a lot better. Alright, we're going to tie a knot around this thing we've got here. 2 times. And then you can just leave this whole thing inside. It'll add to the stuffing. So since we've completed this, now we can go take our stuffing, and it says to stuff tightly. Let's see what that means. I like to go by pieces, so that will kind of regulate how much I put onto here. Especially it'll help me focus on which sides of the head need a little bit more, because if you put it all in one lump sum, you'll notice some divots that you need to fill, and it's harder to like squish the stuffing inside to fix it, rather than do it in little pieces and just fill in those gaps. And then I'm going to check back on the time frame that we have here. I try not to go beyond 2 hours. I've done it in the past, but it really doesn't like doing that, both my editor and YouTube. So I'm going to try to keep this down to 2 hours. See, like, it looks like it's good, but there's a divot in here, so it's making a flat look. This side too, so you want to make sure that you do this piece by piece so that you can fill in the spots that are not quite there. And I'm kind of a perfectionist sometimes, so I always have to make it look right. Okay, there's a spot right here. Just shove that over there, and then finding now there's this huge gap. So yeah, we're just working all around. Then once you get it to a point where you're good, we can move on to the next bit. So I'm going to look at my video time right now. I highly recommend getting more stuffing for any project, especially if you end up doing this multiple times and gifting it. I have a 32-ounce bag, so I'm pretty good. The last kits we did, I had leftover, so you can use that. I keep everything that I get in these kits because you never know if you're going to use it again. I think this is good. Maybe a little bit more. Oh no. Okay. All right. Be right back. Say hello to Jack. Wow, okay, so this head took a lot longer than I thought. But it's looking great. I love it, even though it's tilted a little funny. But he's a little funny looking anyway. So we're going to end the video here. This is going to be a multi-part video. I was hoping that all of this can be at once. So I got to crack down on what I'm doing here. So in our part 2, we're going to be doing the hands, the legs, tail coat, the tails, oh, and the body and bow tie. So this might be a 3-part video. Not too happy with that. But the good thing is I'm going to take this time to do the extra hands and legs. Are the coattails the same? Nope. Anything that has doubles, I'm going to do off camera so that, at least for me, you're not going to notice, but for me, it's not going to take too long. But anyway, thank you so much, you guys, for popping in. This is going to take a minute. The last 2 weeks before Christmas, or this is actually a week and a half left, to be honest. I'm going to try to do Jack. We have Sally in the 5 Below kit. I do have the Lilo and Stitch Santa kit that I'm going to do. And then I have a Polar Bear Itty Bitty Knit kit. And then I have the 2 characters left from the Disney Nightmare Before Christmas. So I'm going to try to pump all of that in, you know, at least by the end of, you know, Christmas Day, something like that. We'll see. Ooh, that's a lot. At any rate, so thank you so much, you guys, for watching. This is Hooked on Needles and Crafts. Please share, like, and subscribe for future videos. And I'll see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.